video starts, wanted to let you know that I wrote a book called Be Free, and if you're interested in reading that, it's my story overcoming shame, depression, all the things, and how I stepped into a life of freedom, joy, grace, all those things. There's a link to that to purchase in the description box below. Okay, enjoy the video. Hello people of the world, and welcome to today's episode of Coffee Chats with Jax. About a month ago, I had the opportunity to go to this camp and first do this thing called a secret camper, which is where I basically had my first acting role. I had to be the really troubled, depressed, loner kid who was showing all the signs of someone needing help, all the signs of a kid who doesn't have any friends, who is really just not okay and just needs someone to sit with them. And then I got to give my first speech in front of all those same kids, about 300 17-year-old kids, and it was the most incredible experience. I learned a lot that month, and if you're interested, I'm going to put a link in the description box below to that video where I talk about that more in detail. Last weekend, I got to do the same thing again. Just my second time being in this situation that I was new to. It was called Ryla. Ryla is a camp for 17-year-old kids. It's kind of like a leadership character building camp through this organization called Rotary. My Uncle Mike is the director of this camp. He is incredible and amazing and the coolest uncle ever, so shout out to you, Uncle Mike. But I think the biggest difference between this month and last month's Ryla was myself. You see, when I was going into this camp last month, as I said, it was my first time doing these things. My mind on that camp, to be honest, was so much on myself. It was so much on what do these people think about me? Am I doing a good job? Like, so self-conscious. Do these people like me? Do they want me to be here? And last weekend when I did this the second time, what happened was I noticed myself not caring so much about myself. I noticed myself focusing a lot more on all the kids around me rather than how I was coming off to them. I was able to focus less on myself and more on the kids around me and more on their stories and more on the real reason and purpose behind why I was doing what I was doing. When we're focused on ourselves and when we're like internalizing everything that like how we're saying this or how we're saying that or how is this person viewing me or that person viewing me or am I doing this right? We get so in our heads that we miss everything going on around us. We miss the real reason and purpose behind why we're doing what we're doing, when more often than not, the people around us aren't really focused that much on analyzing what we say. Because you know what? They're analyzing what they say. We're all so in our heads worrying about how we're coming across and worrying about how people are seeing us. Honestly, everyone we're worried about, most of the time they're worried about themselves just as much as we're worried about ourselves. We are our hardest critics. And when we stop analyzing and over-critiquing and over-stressing about what we're saying or if we're doing this right or that right or how this person's seeing us or if that person likes us, I want to be focused on the real purpose for why I am where I am, why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I got to realize that so much more this last weekend at Ryla because I wasn't in my head so much. I got to know 300 17-year-old kids that are going to absolutely change the world. Everybody has a story. Everyone goes through something. No one gets out of this life pain-free, insecurity-free, problem-free. There's a reason behind why we are the way that we are. I'm not always going to have the answers to what you're going through, and I don't always expect you to have the answers for what I'm going through. But what this Camp Ryla really reminded me of is that sometimes that's not the point. This world isn't lacking advice. What this world is lacking is genuine, authentic friendship. Someone sitting there in the mess with you. Someone acknowledging you when you're hurt. This Ryla taught me so much about friendship. What was incredible was seeing the transformation in these kids from day 1 to day 3. This camp's amazing because it was an intentional time for everyone to share their stuff with each other. It taught people that they were not alone. And when I got to stand on stage and give my speech and share my story, it felt like the safest environment in the world to do that. Because it was an environment of world changers. It was an environment of kids who knew that everybody has a story. That we are not alone. That we are in this together. It's like the messages that I was giving out to these kids, they already lived it out. I'm so excited for whatever the future of this looks like. Like this weekend just showed me why I do what I do. You see, my mission statement that I gave out in my speech was that real friendship, real conversation, genuine love for one another is what's going to change the world. And I said that my mission is to create more of that. But why? This camp answered that question. It really showed each kid how special they were. Because at the end of the day, we can go out there and try and change the world with these big, huge things. But we can't do that unless we first look in the mirror at ourselves. Unless we first look at our own heart. Who's staring back at you in the mirror? Because it starts with you. It starts with you knowing how loved you are, how forgiven you are right now. We're not loved and worthy when we get our stuff together. We're loved and worthy right now. And once we know that, that's when we can go out there and spread that good news to literally everybody else. Because when someone knows how loved they are, we can't help but go out and love people well. That's the heart of who Jesus is and the heart that we need to spread around the world. We gotta figure out why we're doing what we're doing. We have to get out of our own heads and look around us and stop worrying about what we're wearing and how our hair looks and if we're saying the right thing. And I'm not trying to tell you that as much as I'm trying to tell myself that, because when I'm in my head, I'm not very helpful. But when I get out of my head and step into the environment that I'm actually in, when I'm able to stop worrying about myself and start seeing other people, that's when the purpose for what I'm doing actually comes to life. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you next time. Quick guys, before you leave, I wrote a book called Be Free. It is my life story, basically overcoming shame, depression, all that stuff, and how I entered into a life of joy and grace and freedom. That link to my book's description box below, called Be Free. Or if you guys want to support me on Patreon, it's basically my fan-funded label where you can pledge $1 a video, $3 a video, $5 a video, whatever you're comfortable with. That link is also in the description box below. And also, Be Free merch. I got hats, I got pillows, I got tank tops, bags, mugs, all the things. Description box below if you are interested in that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.